What's that, Chris? And displays in here. One thing we have to remember to do is to weigh the bag before we send back up. 5,400. I'm going to do most of the work on the bird on his left side, our right side. So I'll kind of scoot around and be over here once we get him out. First thing I'm trying to do is get a hold of his talons, which are really the thing that can do the most damage to me. Also being careful not to hurt his wings. Okay, now if you can kind of grab him around his body, actually grab both his wings.
I have them.
Okay, I'm gonna pick up. Ready?
Yep.
Up. Great, and up and down my lap. Looks like a little.
Oh, he cut himself.
Damage. One of his. Well, he stuck himself with his own talon.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal. Hey, buddy. Okay, so let me lay him down. Down like that.
Ooh, buddy.
Okay. Okay, now we're gonna cover his head. Okay, now get his other wing over. Great.
Got it.
Put this over like this. Okay, let me grab. Now he should kind of be fairly calm right now, so you can let go of his body. Let go of his body. And
step over him?
Yep, you can grab his talons like this, the way I have them. And put your finger in between the way I do. There, great. Okay, so he's breathing kind of hard, so we want to... Make sure those talons don't get me.
No.
So tell me why you're doing all this stuff now. What's the reason for taking blood?
So this is part of a mercury study, and we've been taking blood samples of eagles across the entire state. Chris has been a part of a very large effort that I'm not sure exactly, but this is probably sample perhaps like 55 of this year. And part of the effort is new nests, and then also resampling nests that were sampled 12 years ago to see how things have changed. The effort right now is in the sampling, and then all the samples then go off to Texas A&M. Well, we send them out in the fall, and we don't actually find out many times until February or so, and it's always great excitement when we get the emails over with the results. I'm gonna confirm this band number.
Okay.
13 is the last two numbers.
Yes.
Okay. The band's on such a fashion that if somebody was able to get a good look at it at the spotting scope years from now, they might be able to read it. If unfortunately something were to happen to this bird and it was found dead, we'd be able to know where it came from, how old it was, a lot of information about it. Trick with these rivets to feed them through. Now with raptors, you have to put these rivets on because they'll pull off regular bands. Okay, I want to grab hold of that. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Now let's switch spots here. If you can move around the bird.
How you doing?
That's his wing feathers there.
Good.
Not cramping on you.
No.
You do this a lot, Mike?
No.
No.
I did a number of years ago, but I haven't for quite a few years. The sure identification between a golden eagle and a bald eagle is that the golden eagle have feathers all the way down to the feet, but the bald eagle has skin showing
Watch your tongue.
on the lower part of the leg.
7.5. That's one of the most dangerous jobs doing right now. Going in and measuring the tail. Never know what might happen in this end. Okay.
For the most part, our population.
So what else do I need to do?
Tarsus width.
Tarsus width. Thank you. Okay. Grab this left leg again. That would be 18.4. Are we good?
We got breast feathers.
Yep.
Take down or other.
Nope.
Okay. PBS.
Yeah, we'll do that afterwards.
Okay.
Let's
weight
the
of bag.
bag.
Yeah.
That's not like
You got him.
Actually, one of the easier ways to hold him is like a baby. Okay, bring the bag up around him. Whoop, hold on. Let's get his talon down there. Show me.
Hold one.
Well, the degree is in conservation biology, and my thesis is there's kind of a few components of it. One is to compare mercury levels in bald eagle nestlings throughout Maine to some previous studies that were done back in the early 90s. So some of these nests have been sampled in the past, and we're using this as a way of looking at mercury in the environment and how it changes over time, and whether it's increasing, decreasing, staying the same. And so in a sense we're using these birds as indicators of these ecosystems. And so a big part of that too is to then try to determine if mercury is impacting the reproductive success of bald eagles in Maine. The bald eagle population in Maine is doing well, it's increasing, but it has probably one of the lowest reproductive success rates of a lot of other, compared to a lot of other populations in the country. And part of that may be just weather impacts these birds more than some other populations, but part of it is probably a lot of contaminants.
I was talking to Wayne. He said that there's quite a bit of mercury in Maine.
Exactly.
Like
And
the highest in...
yeah, probably highest in the country in some particular systems. And you know, in some areas like in the Orrington area, it's point source where, you know, a lot of mercury has just been dumped into the watershed. And that water, you know, those rivers end up in lakes, and the mercury works its way up the food chain through the fish and all the way up into the high trophic level birds like eagles and loons.
So our use of mercury's dropped way off. We know how bad it is for us now.
Yeah, there's still a lot of legislation.
How much time do we have to wait before we start to see declines in mercury?
It's a good question. I'm not sure that I know the answer.
Yeah.
But if if we close the tap right now and not another bit of mercury went out a smokestack or got dumped into a river, it's going to still take a long time before you see any kind of decline, I think. And you know, and it's also naturally occurring. There's some areas where there's really high mercury levels. There's a belt, I think, over in the northwest that has has had quite a few studies done on some fish-eating birds like eagles, and there have been tremendously high levels of mercury in those birds, and I don't think it's anthropogenic at all. It's naturally occurring mercury that's just worked its way up the food web. Out here, you know, we're kind of at the tailpipe of the country, and it tends to be completely...
You never hear about acid rain as much as you used to.
Right.
Dead ponds, dead
Yeah.
fish were gone, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But these lakes, are they in good shape?
I'm sure, you know, it depends on how you look at them, and I'm probably not the best one to.
I mean,
to ask,
I'm a
but-
fisherman,
Yeah.
so I see a lot of fish in them.
Well, this is the thing with mercury is it comes out of the smokestacks in an inorganic form, which isn't really toxic, doesn't work its way through the food web, and from lake to lake, depending on a variety of factors like pH and amount of wetland acreage, and basically there's a sulfur-reducing bacteria in the substrate that converts that mercury that's coming out of a smokestack into an organic form, methyl mercury, and that's the form that goes through the food web. And so if you are in a system that really has a high methylation rate, then you're probably going to have a lot more mercury in the fish, and you might want to think twice about eating those fish. But you can go across the street to another lake, and it may have completely opposite low or high levels. And so that's why we've been really trying to, in this study, sample as many different watersheds as we can, and we're doing a fairly good job of
Gives
that.
you a good
So-
idea,
Right.
even by looking at the birds.
Right, you look
they
at these
eat the
birds,
fish.
yep, they're eating the fish, and we're collecting prey remains, so we have an idea what they're feeding on.
Yeah.
We can look at the mercury levels in those birds, get an idea what's going on in that watershed, and we sort of bounce around the state, hitting these different watersheds, and we'll have a good idea. And then there's this sort of temporal piece where we're able to actually resample birds that have been sampled, well, nests that have been sampled before, and so we're able to compare to 10 years ago.
All right. Wow, you're big, aren't you? Be firm, but because unlike a loon or something, that's a diving bird.
Right.
Bones are pretty heavy. These guys' bones are still fairly delicate.
The federal government, who has management authority over the bald eagle, over its continental population, they announced approximately 4 years ago the delisting of the bald eagle. It was taken from endangered to threatened status, and now they announced it'll be 3 years ago next month. They announced that they were proposing to remove the bird from threatened and endangered status totally.
Into that sheath of these feathers.
So we're expecting soon that we're going to see a further proposal and movement towards removing the bird, and they've done very well.
All right.
They recognize five populations on the continent, 5 distinct
We weighed the
populations,
bag, is that right?
and the New England population is the population that's lagged behind the others, and that's why
Can you pass me that green bag, please?
they've stayed on the list. And but eagles are doing very well. Talk to people that live along the coast, especially in Washington, Hancock County, where we have the bulk of the population. They're quite common, and we've really come a long way since their low point in the 60s. So.
You got him.
Oh, he's light. He feels, they do feel hollow though, you know, they feel, you know what I mean? Like you're picking up balsa wood with feathers, you know? They're not as dense as you might think.
This is the bigger guy up in front, his brother out in back there. He's been sitting in the nest for 15 minutes, so he's calmed down a bit. This guy just had a ride up the tree and is still a little panting. It's a hot day. He'll calm down a bit.